Marcus Spears, ESPN analyst, former defensive end, and you can see him on NFL Live every afternoon, weekdays 4 Eastern, with Mina Kimes, Laura Rutledge, Dan Orlovsky, Ryan Clark. Also, you can catch him on Monday Night Countdown as well. He joins us on the program. Great to see you again, Swagoo. If I didn't watch the game last night, how would you describe it? How would you sum it up?
Masterful performance from Kirk Cousins in this offense, and a masterful performance from Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota. Listen, man, I'm not going to dismiss the fact that Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams didn't play. That's a big deal for that team and what they like to do. But we know what this league is, and you got to overcome that sometimes. I give Minnesota all the credit in the world. This was a 2-5 football team coming into this game. Last night on Monday Night Countdown, every one of us picked the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm sure most of America did as well if you wasn't a Viking fan. But I think what they did last night should boost this team. But more importantly, walking away from the performance that Kirk Cousins put together against a defense that we all respect and have a lot of admiration for, would probably be the story of the game for me.
But also, you can say the Niners didn't have Deebo or Trent Williams, but the Vikings didn't have the best receiver in the game, in Justin Jefferson. So,
absolutely. It looked like they did, though, with Jordan Addison.
Yeah. Do you have more concern for the Niners or more hope for the Vikings?
Probably more. I would walk away from that game more hope for the Vikings. Now, look, they dug themselves a big hole, but they made a good move to try to get out of it with that win last night. I'm not worried about the 49ers, man. It's too large of a sample size of Kyle Shanahan. It's too large of a sample size of when all of these guys are healthy now, which is a big deal now, DP. Like, we know injuries happen in this league, and they got to figure out a way to overcome it when Deebo is not available. Who I think changes that entire offense. We could talk about Brandon Ayuk being the number one wide receiver. We could talk about Christian McCaffrey and how great he is for sure. Deebo Samuel is the guy that changes the picture for that offense with what he does after the catch. So missing him, you miss a big part. See, here's the difference. You not only miss a player when it comes to Deebo Samuel, you miss a scheme. You miss the way you're able to call plays, which is a completely different thing than when we're just talking about a really good player being out of the game. Like Justin Jefferson, to your point, with the Minnesota Vikings. But I think the Minnesota Vikings, one, needed that win, but more importantly, they needed a win against a really good team to say, look, man, we still can pull that out of ourselves when need be.
I'm trying to figure out who I know is real. Like, after 6-7 games, are the Eagles okay? You got a solid feeling about them? The Chiefs,
Yeah.
do you have a solid feeling? Like, how many teams do you go, I know exactly who you are?
DP, I think if we had to hang our head on two people or teams in this league, it's Kansas City and Philly.
Okay.
Right? Like, the most consistent thing in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes. Regardless of whatever, it could be absolute chaos around the rest of this league. He's gonna be that one thing in the NFL that you drop into any game on Sunday and you feel like his team can win, no matter what the circumstances are, because of who he is. And Philly, with the way that they play football, as long as and this is a big as long as of right now, the turnovers are a problem in Philly right now. But they are so talented and so able to play the game the way they want to, that they can overcome that, unlike many other teams. I mean, sure, we saw San Francisco last night turn the ball over 3 times, and they couldn't overcome it. Mm-hmm. Philly turns it over, and they overcome it. I mean, that's a 6-1 football team, and obviously you point to the loss against the Jets, which is a bad loss for them. But ultimately, they still had a chance to win that game with 3 turnovers in that game as well. So Philly and Kansas City right now. And DP, I don't know why the hell, okay? We always, Kansas City is going to be good. They are going to be in the playoffs. They are the most sure thing in the NFL, regardless of how we get into how they look in certain games, or the offense is not clicking, or it's new wide receivers, we got to see if they're going to come along. The Kansas City Chiefs are the surest thing in the NFL. And obviously it's because of Pat, but it's also Travis Kelce. It's also Andy Reid and that staff. And oh, by the way, this year they got a top 5 defense in the NFL.
Talking to Marcus Spears of the Mothership, former NFL defensive end. What would you do against the brotherly shove, the tush push as a defensive player? And what do you think about that play?
I don't have a problem with the play at all, DP. I think this league is about finding an advantage, about finding something you can do that nobody can stop. Because I know if there's a defensive call that you can make that is going to guarantee a sack every time you call it, teams will be calling it every year, every game, every second. So that's how I feel about the idea of the brotherly shove. Now, DP, let's get into some old school football. You remember when I was on set with you at the Super Bowl in Arizona and I put my hands on y'all and almost threw y'all over that balcony?
Yeah.
I think what you have to do is not what's allowed in this league anymore. You got to try to make these offensive linemen hate having to do the tush push, and that means getting under them. That means taking knees out. Not injury, but when we used to play goal line, when I was in the league, we would try to make the offensive linemen flat for our linebackers to be able to come over the top. And when I say taking knees out, I don't want people to get it misconstrued. I ain't trying to tear no ACLs or nothing like that. You are literally trying to cut the offensive lineman so all of your guys on the second level can come over the top and it becomes a one-on-one tackle with the quarterback. The issue that people have with the Philadelphia Eagles is Jalen Hurts is as strong as all of his offensive linemen. So that's why it's so successful there. But I don't think there should even be a conversation about taking it out of the game. It's an advantage that the Philadelphia Eagles have found, and they should use it until it don't work anymore.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about Jalen Hurts getting hurt. I'm concerned about those offensive and defensive linemen. If you want to take it out of the game for safety, and Kelsey's even talked about this, like it's brutal on these offensive linemen. And I wonder if they can use it kind of under that, I don't know, that curtain of, hey, these guys could get hurt and it's all about safety. But if you have an advantage and they run that, what were the numbers, Paulie, on the Eagles using it like 75 times?
They out of 77 tries, they only didn't get it 3 times, and that was on 3rd down, and they got it on a subsequent 4th down.
Yeah. And nobody's even
like
close.
93% with the thing right now.
Yeah. Nobody had. I don't have a problem with it. It's their advantage. If anybody else is going to be able to do it, then go ahead and do it. If I said you could have Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill.
Ooh-wee. That's probably one of the greatest questions I've ever gotten, DP. I would probably have to go Tyreek. Dang it, and that's hard. I just think he influences what you have to do defensively more than anybody in the NFL. And he has the one thing that regardless of ability that you can't really defend, and that's speed. His speed is different than everybody else's. And I think when you have, I'm not even talking about the playmaking ability. If you ask me, as far as these two guys making plays, I would probably take Kelce because Kelce is with, and he's also with Mahomes, but the critical downs is what I think Travis Kelce is the guy that you would want. And most of the time you're in those situations in big games. But as far as taking one of those guys to start with, it's Tyreek because his speed is going to force a lot of people to do things that they don't want to do.
And it's interesting when I watch the Chiefs, I know the ball is going to Kelce. The defense knows the ball is going to Kelce. He had 11 targets in the first half. I mean, it's not a surprise like, hey, who's 87? It's you got to stop Mahomes and you got to stop number 87. Even when you know, that's when you know. It's like basketball. When you got a guy who goes, I'm going to score on you, and you can't do anything about it. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and you can't do anything about it.
But DP, this is what I hear from, like, when we've been on the road with some teams and defensive guys. What I hear from them is it's all improv with them dudes. Like you could study a thing on film, right? Like I played with Jason Witten, who I think is one of the greatest tight ends to ever play. But Jason Witten was going to run an option route and he was going to run a seam. And those were the two routes that you had to try to stop. Now, a lot of people were very unsuccessful at it, but those were the things. Man, if you look at some route combinations, like we have this little thing that'll show you the route combinations and what a guy did on a particular route. Travis Kelce looked like he's zigzagging sometimes. He just find an open area. Him and Pat are so in sync with each other. To your point, like basketball, where it's like Malone and Stockton, right? It's like, look, man, we're gonna run this pick and roll, and it's nothing you can do about it. Because you don't know if I'm gonna pull up and shoot, if you try to double team call, if you jump me and jump the screen, I'm gonna drop it off to him. And oh, by the way, we got these complementary pieces out here that I could kick out for a 3-pointer with Rice and with Miko. I love the fact that they got Miko back too. His understanding, it changes a lot. But Travis Kelce and Pat Mahomes, they improv football week in and week out, and there's no defense for that.
Are you a Laker fan?
I'm a LeBron fan. I'm a Pelicans fan.
Oh.
I'm a New Orleans Pelicans fan, but I'm a LeBron fan.
Have you met LeBron?
Nope. He shouted me out on Twitter one time. It felt really good. He talked about he liked when I'm on TV. But I haven't met him in person. He actually his youngest daughter Zuri just started playing volleyball, and DP, my daughter is number one player in the country in volleyball. And I commented on his post when Zuri was playing volleyball. I said, "Welcome, brother," because like if you go to these volleyball tournaments, it's nothing but NBA and NFL players watching their daughters. It's like a home. It's like a therapy home for former pro athletes. I used to see Tim Duncan, Tyson Chandler. I used to see everybody. But I commented, he was like, "Yeah, man, congratulations to your daughter. She a beast." And my daughter saw it and she was like, "Dad, LeBron know me. I don't care about nothing else." So I can't tell her nothing.
Are basketball players tough?
Yeah, I think they are because I played
compared to football players.
I think it's a different kind of tough, right? You got to think too, though. A lot of these guys played football. Like this generation of NBA guys now are sports specific, right? But if you go back to LeBron era and all those guys before that, we all were multiple sport guys, bro.
What do you think Michael Jordan would have been like as a football player?
He would have had to play wide receiver. And I think he would have been really good. Athletic, long, fast, strong.
Would he been Randy Moss?
No. Would have been Randy Moss. No. No. Nobody.
Nobody's Randy Moss.
Nobody.
Could he have been the most talented, not the best, but the most talented receiver to ever play?
MJ?
No. Randy Moss.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think so. Here's my thing, BP. T.O., Randy, Jerry Rice, and Calvin Johnson, to me. And I put Jerry in there. I don't think Jerry was like a sick athlete.
No.
I thought Jerry was just a phenomenal technician at what he did and understood how to play the position probably better than anybody ever. But those other three that I just named, those are the elite athletes mixed with the ability to play receiver at a very high level to me. That's different than anybody else. I think Justin Jefferson is trending in that direction. It's going to take a long time to get there. I think he's one of those guys that could potentially be in that conversation. But when it comes to Randy, when it comes to T.O., and when it comes to Calvin Johnson, I think those are the guys athletically and wide receiver wise that are different than anybody else. Yeah, and Fitz in there too. Larry Fitzgerald is somewhere in there. We don't mention him, I think, because it wasn't like super flashy like a lot of these guys. But if you go over Fitz's career, big, physical, hands were as sure as tax day, right? Like, so it's a few guys, but them three for me with the athleticism and the position are different than everybody else.
Good to visit with you again. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
As always, my brother, I still haven't got one of them trinkets off your desk. So can somebody get on that, please?
And you are welcome to come down for a Meat Friday.
All right.
Any Friday, you tell me when you're coming down. You tell me what you want to eat. I'll fire up the Traegers, and don't bring Orlovsky.
I'm not going to bring Orlovsky because we're going to have seasoning on the food. And the other thing is, DP, the great thing about Meat Friday on the Traeger is I can cook with you, bro, because I know what I'm doing on there.
You can do it.
All right, fellas.
How about we have a sleepover? We'll have a sleepover, and then we do Meat Friday.
I'm with it. Let's record. Let's film it. Let's film it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Get a big ass sleeping bag for me though, DP.
Okay.
I need a big sleeping bag.
also 3 sleeping bags together to put you in there. Thank you, man.
All right, my brother. Take care,
Marcus Spears. He is the big swagoo. You can see him with Laura Rutledge, Mina Kimes, Dan Orlovsky, Ryan Clark. NFL Live every weekday, 4 in the afternoon.